Welcome to the US Kiss Vinyl Reference YouTube channel. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Alright folks, welcome back to another episode of the US Kiss Vinyl Reference. I am Mike Stone, your host, as always. And I trust that you digested the Kissed Area episode fairly well. It was a lot to take in, I understand. So, with that being said, this week's episode, we are going to dive into another set. And this time, it is the Casablanca Singles, 1974 to 1982. So, get yourself strapped in, and we're going to look at a bunch of 45s today. I'll see you in a minute. Alright, welcome back. So, as I said, we are going to talk about the Casablanca Singles box set today. It's a bit to take in, but it's nothing like Kissed Area was, so, you know, hooray there. I don't have any housekeeping that I know of other than liking and subscribing and all that things. You know, I've got a YouTube page, I've got an Instagram page, I've got a Facebook page, the US Kiss Vinyl Reference, of course. There is a post that I have featured on the Facebook page looking for episode ideas, questions, and whatnot. So, you know, you got something that falls into one of those categories, be my guest and head over to the Facebook page and drop them into comments there. As you may see from reading the comments, I have taken a couple of those and ran with them. So there's that. Alright, singles box set from 2012, the year of our Lord. It was a grouping of the singles from the Casablanca years, which would have been from the debut album up to Creatures of the Night, the makeup period, pretty much. And they compiled all of these singles together, and they include certain single mixes that were available only on the 45s, and to top it off, picture sleeves from around the world were recreated for use in this set. So we're going to look into this set, and you know, I have shown all of these on previous episodes at one point or another, and I was notorious for not being able to remember where the sleeves came from. Well, I have my trusty little note right here next to my preview window for my video, so I have all of that information handy for once. So, you know, yay for Mike. So, can't think of any housekeeping. I'm pretty sure I've said that. Fuck it, let's get into it. So, singles box set. There is a CD and a vinyl version. And let me grab that CD box. I'm just going to grab the box. I'm not going to go through all the singles because, you know, US Kiss Vinyl Reference. So, alright. So, it was released as a CD set and a 45 set. You can see there's clearly a difference in size here and depth. So, they both have a magnetic door. A magnet holds that together. And if you keep the box full, when you pick it up, be it the 7-inch set or the CD set, make sure that you grab a hold of it to where you're pushing that door shut, because if this thing gets tipped upside down and it's full, that sucker's coming open and everything's falling out. It's happened a lot more than once. So I was just showing the size for the CD set. Hey, there's that way. There we go. So we have the box that houses all of the 45s. I keep all my 45s in sleeves, so they will not fit in the box now that they are sleeved. I also keep the book and all that in sleeves. Sorry for the hiccups there. Other than that, it's a hollow box. It's black all the way around. You know, nothing special. The only thing you got is the front face here. And that flamed Kiss logo, as you can see by my finger right here. So the flame pattern is set back inside the box a little bit, and it's just a stenciled out Kiss logo. So, and then there's a little metal tag down here that says the Casablanca Singles 1974 to 1982 limited edition. And it is the same on the CD box. Matter of fact, I think the metal plate is exactly the same. Other than that, it was adjusted for size. So, there's your box. Inside the box, well, let's hold off before we go inside. So when the box was sealed, this little sheet here was on the back side of the box underneath the shrink wrap, and this is just a contents. And in addition to the contents, it is also a good source of information for where the sleeves come from. So the first 29 U.S. Kiss Casablanca Records era singles digitally remastered and compiled together into one comprehensive collection for the first time ever on 7-inch 45 RPM. And I would imagine the CD says something about it being CD. Features 26 highly collectible picture sleeves from original single releases around the world. The 4 solo album singles are available in colored vinyl and feature a mask for each respective band member as originally released in the UK. Other than that, it's a US set. So a couple of singles had different B-sides in different parts of the world. The A-side and the B-side match what we got in the US. And then it goes through the discography. You got a couple of mock-ups, and then there's a barcode. So the way mine came is this UPC was marked out. Could be for promotional purposes, could be a return, who knows. But whoever did this knows nothing about barcodes, because if you mark this way across the barcode, you could still scan the barcode. If you want to break the barcode up from not being able to be scanned, you go up and down. So, you know, just my own little 2 cents there. For no other reason than the fact that I've been working with scanners and barcodes for 20 something years now. So, all right, now inside the box we have a booklet, and this booklet also is with the CD set, albeit a little bit smaller. Inside the booklet you've got some pictures and a couple of essays, and then it breaks down to single releases one by one with a little note on each single. Nice pictures. And then in the back, of course, you've got your list of, you know, people that helped out with the project and people that worked on the project and what have you. So one little feature that's kind of neat about the booklet, I think, is it's made to look old. So it looks like it has ring wear from like a 45. So I kind of like that little touch. And then all the various notes about the 45. So I did not get in on this when it was first released. As I said in the Kisteria episode, I got mine with the Kisteria set. I waited on the Kisteria set, and then they offered the set for a couple $100 off of what they originally sold it for, and then they added the singles box set to it. That's when I jumped in. So now let's take a look at the 45s. Grab me a drink here. So now we'll start off with the very first single, which is Nothing to Lose, backed with Love Theme from Kiss. And so the first thing we're going to notice about these sleeves, I mean, obviously this is a white one. It's not a picture sleeve because there was no picture sleeve for the first three singles. So these are a cardstock sleeve, unlike the more vintage ones that were made out of paper. And I did not have them handy on my rack for this purpose. It was just coincidence. So there's no kind of markings whatsoever. It's just a cardstock white sleeve. And the single is on a blue label, just like the original release. And that's all there is to that. So the first couple of sleeves are a little boring because it's just a white sleeve. Alright. Next up, we have Kissin' Time, backed with Nothing to Lose. Again in a plain white sleeve. So there's that label. And the set is, it has the vinyl inside just the sleeves. The plastic sleeves that you see me holding the vinyl up in, I actually added those. So alright, next up is Strutter, backed with 100,000 Years. also in a white sleeve. Yeah, that disc keeper is my doing there. So there's the label. So as I said before, there was not a picture sleeve release anywhere in the world for these three singles. So that's why they got the white sleeve. In the US, the white sleeve carried on for a few more singles after this. But other places around the world started getting picture sleeves for their singles. So when it came time to put the set together, the catalog consultant was able to gather up scans of picture sleeves from various collectors all over the place and submit them into Universal, and Universal got to work on designing the thing. So now we get to Let Me Go Rock and Roll, backed with Hotter Than Hell, which in the US, the blue label version of that is Rare as Hell, the original. So here is the picture sleeve for Let Me Go and Hotter Than Hell. It's the same on front and back. And aside from it being made out of cardstock, there is also some legal info on the back side somewhere on the sleeve. So this can't be mistaken for an original sleeve. Alright. So I am able to say that I do own a blue label for Let Me Go Rock and Roll and Hotter Than Hell, just not that blue label. Alright. And that sleeve was from Germany, in case I didn't mention it. Alright. Next up is Rock and Roll All Night, backed with Getaway. And this picture sleeve comes from Holland. Again, it's the same on both sides. And there's that blue label reissue. Then next up is Come On and Love Me, backed with Getaway. And we have this sleeve from Japan. And it's got some Japanese translation on the back for the lyrics. She's a dancer, romancer. I'm a Capricorn and she's a Cancer. She saw my picture in a music magazine. When she met me, said she'd get me, touched her hips and told me that she'd let me. I took her hand, baby, this is what I said. Well, they got the translation pretty good. So I don't get to laugh at this one like I think the originals too. So here is that blue label reissue. And for all of you 45 collectors out there that have actually went the whole nine and have gathered up the original versions of all of these sleeves, my hat's off to you. I know I have one friend that probably has all of these originally, so it could be a task. So next up is the live and studio version of Rock and Roll All Night. Same thing, front and back, and this sleeve is from Germany. And there's that blue label. And many of these have single edits on them, which are quite different from what's on the album. Off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to go through here and just list everything out. I mean, while I'm listening to it, I could say, hey, that's different, but no. Alright, next up is Shout It Out Loud, backed with Sweet Pain. And this sleeve comes from Japan. Again, with the Japanese translations. Well, you let me go and you want some more. Do you think you're going to find it? You got to treat yourself like number one. Do you need to be reminded? It doesn't matter what you do and say. Just pretend that things are moving cool. We can't do it any other way. Everybody's got to rock and roll. If you don't feel good, there's a way you could. Don't stay there brokenhearted. Call all your friends in the neighborhood and get the party started. Don't go and tell me that there's too much to life that you don't really understand. Just make a party with the girls and boys because it's time for you to take a stand. Yeah, they got that one a little iffy. So there's that. And the blue label, which I can tell you, just because I did an episode last week that featured a promo version, one of the promo versions of Shout It Out Loud. The single edit fades out on Shout It Out Loud, so I can tell you that much. Alright, next up is Flaming Youth, backed with God of Thunder. And this picture sleeve was nicked from the US of A. So if you've got a US vintage copy, your picture sleeve's going to look pretty damn close to the same. Your vinyl, however, will not look the same, because the catalog consultant slipped one by Universal and got Flaming Youth on a blue label. So I got this set long before I got into 45s, and when I started trying to hunt down 45s, I was looking for a blue label Flaming Youth from the USA. Yeah, I was chasing a unicorn. So finally, I got a hold of said catalog consultant and asked him, if he had a blue label Flaming Youth, and he kind of chuckled at me a little bit. So I got my answer. Alright, next up is Detroit Rock City, backed with Beth. And we got this picture sleeve from Japan. There's your translations back there. And I almost thought it looked the same as Shout It Out Loud, but yeah, it's just all the red, I guess. And we now have a camel label. So the reason we call it camels, if you haven't been following along all this time, is you got the desert fortress and then there's a couple of camels present. And that's it. Man, it just says Casablanca at the top. It doesn't say Record and Film Works. There's no film crew on the label anywhere. So, camel label. So there's your A side for Detroit Rock City, and then your B side for Beth. And this single mix is pretty hacked up. It's different. I would attribute that single mix to being the reason why the song didn't take off on the radio. So next up is a single for Beth, backed with Detroit Rock City. So yeah, there's the old story that DJs started flipping the single over and then Beth takes off, and I don't know how much I buy that story, because up until Detroit Rock City, the radio station copies were all mono stereo, meaning they had the same song on both sides. One side was mono, the other side was stereo. Beth in Detroit, the promo copy that was sent to the radio stations actually had both songs, which hadn't happened before that. So I think it was just a story that they made up to hype the song. So whatever. So here's our picture sleeve for Beth, backed with Detroit Rock City, and it comes from Germany. And then we have the camel label. So there's the B side, or the A side, Beth, and the B side, Detroit Rock City. So literally the only thing different between this 45 and the last 45 is the sides. I mean, on one of them, Detroit Rock City is marked as the A side, and on this one, Beth is marked as the A side. So next up is Hard Luck Woman, backed with Mr. Speed. And here's the picture sleeve for that, which is from Germany. And the vinyl is on a camel label. And one different thing about this set from Kisteria is that none of these were available at retail. These are all exclusive to the box set. So if you bought them individually, then you bought them on the secondary market, because they were not individually available. Alright. Calling Dr. Love, backed with Take Me. So here's the picture sleeve for that one, also from Germany. And got a little discography on the back here. So we finally got a picture sleeve that ain't got the same thing on both sides. And here is the vinyl. Next up is Christine 16, backed with Shock Me. And we got the picture sleeve for that, which is from France. And then this one is also on a camel label, which there are versions of it originally on the camel label. The promotional copy was on a Filmworks label. I believe this was just released right at the transition point between the two labels, and that's why you can find it on both. Whereas some of the later singles that appeared accidentally on a camel label well after the camel label's period of use, I think, was just leftovers. So, alright, next up we've got Love Gun and Hooligan. And here's the sleeve for that. And this sleeve is from Sweden. And now we are on a Filmworks label. So you can see it's a little different up at the top now. It says Casablanca Record and Filmworks. And there's a film crew going on up there in front of the fortress now. Here's the other side. Alright, next up is Shouted Out Loud from Alive 2, backed with Nothing to Lose from Alive. And there's the picture sleeve for that, which is from Germany. And the Filmworks label. And next up is Rocket Ride, backed with Tomorrow and Tonight, the live version from Alive 2. So there's the picture sleeve there. Also from Germany. And yeah, it might look a little familiar because it's the same picture as the Love Gun picture sleeve. And we got that on the Filmworks label. And I will say, for the CD set, the CDs use scans of those label images too. So, like what I just showed, it would have been a Filmworks label on the CD. So, alright, now we're at Strutter 78 and Shock Me. So there's the picture sleeve for that. And this also comes from Germany. And there's the Filmworks label. Now we're getting into the solo singles. So first up, we have Paul with Hold Me, Touch Me, backed with Goodbye, and this sleeve is from the UK. And the UK released 4 solo singles on colored vinyl, and then they had cutout masks with each one. So for this set, there are masks included, but they're just printed on a piece of paper. I mean, you could cut it out if you wanted to, I guess, but I mean, who's going to do that? So there's Paul's mask. And then the vinyl, if I can get the thing out. So the vinyl is purple, and there's the Filmworks label. They are kind of a pain to get back in the picture sleeve with the poster. Or poster with it's a mask. It's not a, well, I mean, for the people that bought this set, they ain't cutting out the mask, so yeah, it's basically a poster. Straighter. Alright, next up is Ace with New York Groove, backed with Snowblind. Again, this picture sleeve is from the UK. And there's his mask, and these masks were also included with the CD set. They're a little bit smaller. And if I remember right, I'm not a big foreign collector, so if I remember right, I think the UK, the masks were already cut out. They weren't on a whole piece of paper like that. So, and then Ace's vinyl is blue, and there's the Filmworks label. Next up is Gene with Radioactive, backed with See You in Your Dreams, also from the UK. And if I remember right, the UK, the B-side song was See You Tonight, I think. And instead of putting See You Tonight actually on the vinyl, Universal wanted it to mirror what the US vinyl had, so they put "See You in Your Dreams" on the back of the UK picture sleeve, if that makes sense. Get that stupid thing out of there, come on. Alright. And then Jean's mask. And yeah, it's meant to cut out, and then there's the holes for your eyes, and then you got two little holes there for the string to go around the back of your head. My head's rather large, so it would probably take a pretty good size string. And then Jean's vinyl is, as you may have guessed, red. There's the label. Now, where it gets a little weird is on Peter's solo single. So Peter had two singles in the US. His first single was "Don't You Let Me Down," and then he got a second single released, I'm guessing because the first single didn't sell too well. So "Don't You Let Me Down" was not released in the UK. So here we've got the picture sleeve from Germany. And the vinyl is on black vinyl. And this one does not have a mask because the German copies didn't come with a mask. So yeah, it breaks the set up, but that's because of the catalog number. So the US catalog number has "Don't You Let Me Down" coming first, but this was not released in England, so you have "You Matter to Me," which this sleeve is from the UK, and then we're back to the pattern that we've been on with the solo albums, with it having a mask. And having it on colored vinyl, which is green. And the camera doesn't really show how deep that green is. Maybe if I put it against a white background, but even then, what I can see, it doesn't really show how deep the green is. So yeah, that's one thing about my OCD. You know, it kind of breaks the pattern having "Don't You Let Me Down" in front of this one. But if you go by catalog numbers from the US, it's correct. So I mean, I guess I could put the four colored vinyl together, but then I know that the catalog's going to be reversed on 2 of them, so that'll drive me crazy. So neither one's going to make me happy. So, all right. Next up is I Was Made for Loving You, backed with Hard Times. And there's the picture sleeve for that, which is from Germany. And it is on black vinyl with a Filmworks label. And that's another thing for these singles. They was able to keep the old catalog number, but in the Kisteria set, the LPs didn't get to keep the old catalog number. So I'm kind of confused by how that works. But then again, these singles weren't available on their own, so that might have been why. Alright, next up is Sure Know Something, backed with Magic Touch, or Dirty Living. I don't know why I said Magic Touch. Yeah. So there's the picture sleeve for that, and it is also from Germany. And there's the vinyl. I think Magic Touch might have made a decent single. I think it's one of the stronger songs on Dynasty. Alright, next up is Shandy, backed with She's So European. So there's the picture sleeve. It's got the Unmasked album cover on the back, and this is from Holland. And there's the vinyl. Next up is Tomorrow, backed with Naked City. My 2 favorite songs off of Unmasked, and Tomorrow is actually my favorite Kiss song. So there's the picture sleeve, which is from Japan. And we've got a translation for the lyrics. And a Filmworks label. Next up is A World Without Heroes, backed with Dark Light. So there's the picture sleeve for that, and that comes from Spain. And there's the Filmworks label. And the U.S. only got 1 single from The Elder. Other countries got, I think it was The Oath and I. Which side was which, I have no idea. But That wasn't a single in the US, so it's not included in this set. So just the one Elder single. And wrapping the set up is I Love It Loud Backed with Danger, and that picture sleeve comes from the US. So there's 2 US sleeves in this box set because there's 2 US sleeves in this whole time period. So only Flaming Youth and I Love It Loud had picture sleeves during the makeup period. There's the Filmworks label. And the other side. So that, folks, is the singles box set. I had no intention of buying it when it came out. I can't even tell you how much it was when it first hit retail. Like I said, Kisteria knocked a couple of $100 off, and that was enough for me to buy Kisteria. The fact that they threw the singles box set in with it was neither here nor there to me. I thought I would probably get it and sell it, but I never sold it. I ended up buying the CD box set so I could listen to the single mixes. So, alright, so we went through the singles box set, we went through Kisteria. I think we're done with box sets because there's a couple of box sets that I'm not buying. So, and now we're completely done with 45s. So, again, as I say every week, I appreciate you hanging in there with me. And please, if you have not liked and subscribed to my channel, please do so. Every little bit helps. I'm not worried about monetizing anything. I'm not at that point, number one. Number two, I mean, really, how much money am I going to make by holding Kiss records up to the camera? I'm not going to make that much. But like I said, I'm a ways away from that point. I'm not worried about the monetizing part, but the more likes and subscribes and all that I get, it helps me reach a wider audience, which, I mean, in turn will eventually let me monetize, but that's not what I'm doing this for. I want to reach as wide of an audience as possible, just because I like making an ass out of myself to large crowds of people. So please, yes, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, my Instagram page. All of this stuff is on those 3 platforms. Am I going to open up a Twitter account? Probably not. Am I going to start doing TikTok shit, doing something to do with this? Probably not. I'd say these 3 are probably it. But yeah, any little bit helps, folks. So please just give me a little thumbs up down there and hit the bell. You don't necessarily have to watch my videos when you get a notification if you don't want to, but you know, just it just helps me out a little bit. So anyway, I thank you for hanging around with me going through this set, and I will see you the next time.